Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Bits of real panther, so you know it's good.
It's quite pungent.
Oh yeah,
Stings the nostrils in a good way.
yeah.
Brian, I'm gonna be honest with you, that smells like pure gasoline.
60% of the time, it works every time.
That doesn't make sense.
Chiefs Kingdom. It's time for All Chiefed Up with your hosts, Steve and Mike Williams. From the Bluegrass to the Red Sea, this is the Kingdoms Podcast.
What up, what up, what up?
Chiefs Kingdom. It's another day. It's another day. It's another news day.
News day?
Dude, let's talk about this.
Tuesday.
Newsday Tuesday. More Kadarius Toney news. Like, I know people's probably tired of talking about Kadarius Toney. You've got the group that thinks Kadarius Toney wasn't a wide receiver one. You got the group that thinks he is a wide receiver one. And then you just got people that are just tired of talking about it. And they're like, we don't care. We don't need him. He's our wide receiver one. The Chiefs said it themselves. We learned yesterday or Sunday he gets injured after 4 plays. Yesterday, Adam Schefter tweets that he has surgery in the offseason, and we were just collectively heads blown. And we're like, what is this? Why'd they keep it under wraps? Apparently he was wrong. The surgery was this morning. Kadarius Toney had surgery this morning, Steve. They had to go back and clean up, according to Andy Reid, some of his surgery that he had with the Giants in 2022.
Okay. Yeah, so he had like a cleanup surgery in 2022 with the Giants, and I think they had to go back and do the same thing. Hopefully it's not just a freaking recurring thing, man. But anytime you hear meniscus tear, that's a little scary, right? But anyway, good to see everybody. Thanks for joining us. We just kind of threw this together at the last second so we could get on here and update you today on camp. So that's what we'll be talking about mostly. But I did throw out the poll. Are you guys worried about the wide receiver room in light of the Kadarius Toney injury news? And right now, with 33 votes, 61% of you guys are worried about it somewhat, and with good reason. But good to see everybody. Hey, Cindy, Gil, Julia, Tech Nines in the house, K Wayne, KC Fan Dan, Brad, Lewis. Good to see all you guys. Brenda just made it in. Hope you guys are having a good day so far. So Yeah, so let's talk about camp. Like we don't want to dig too much into Kadarius Toney stuff. But I will say that I can sympathize with you guys that are worried about it, because it is a little concerning that our wide receiver room that a lot of people were wanting to add to before this camp got going now is slightly weaker because of Kadarius Toney's injury. He could or could not be back by week 1. Andy Reid said they're shooting for that, but they have no clue. And with Kadarius Toney's track record, I would not put money on it.
Some little slap nut got on our comment section yesterday. I don't even know his name, because you want to know why?
His name was Mr. Nut.
Mr. Nut, Mr. AKA the slap of all slaps. He gets on there and he says, "You guys are really worried about Kadarius Toney, aren't you? You must not know much about football. You can jump off the bandwagon if you want." Dude, this dude looked like he was about 20 years old. We've been Chief fans before you were a twinkle in your pop's eye, bro. So get it out of here with that. Nobody's on the a bandwagon. It's called, we thought that D-Hop or another wide receiver veteran presence was needed. Cool. We didn't do it. We couldn't make it happen for whatever reason, but Kadarius Toney proved the reasons everybody's saying it. That's it. That's all we're trying to say. Are we worried? No, I'm not super worried. I'm worried about Kadarius Toney, as in, why wouldn't we be worried about him? He's proven over and over again that he's nothing but an injury liability that cannot stay healthy. And people are like, hey, we just need him to play 5 games in a playoff game. No, we didn't trade for the guy just to have him play 5 games in a playoff game. Like, what is this mentality that we're rolling with lately?
Mike, everyone knows that if you're not a bandwagon Chiefs fan, you know that Patrick Mahomes can win with 5 receivers from the nursing home. Just go pull them out of any local nursing home and
or any
water
8th grade
boy
team you can find.
Yeah, you didn't know that. He don't even need an offensive line. He can just snap the ball and take off running.
We don't even need a defense. Let's
Did
just
you know
spot
that?
them 7, and Mahomes will beat them by just doing
And if you don't believe that, with all your heart, Mike, you're freaking.
Look,
you're not a
it's
real
just
fan.
dumb. I'm not going to say that Kadarius Toney. This is what I'm worried about. Kadarius Toney getting a second contract with the Chiefs. You keep pulling this crap, you're not going to get it. I'm sorry, but you can't get it.
No, I doubt he does.
This guy's
anyway.
missed more games in his career than he's played, I think. But at the other thing is, it's not worry, it's frustration. Like, that's what people need to see. Everyone wants to be frustrated with Toney.
Why would you not be frustrated? Okay, so obviously we're not GMs here. We don't know everything. We don't see everything. But when you look at it from the outside in, it's like, yeah, we might need to get like a proven wide receiver, some kind of a vet. It doesn't have to be a D-Hop. It doesn't have to be D-Hop. But somebody, it don't have to be somebody over the top like that, like Mike Evans or whoever. Just some kind of vet wide receiver that has proven themselves somewhat, right?
Well, you could argue maybe Richie James a little bit.
Yeah, sure. If you're calling his best season ever was like, what, 500 yards last year? So, I mean, anyway, we thought we might have needed that, right? And then guess what? Brett Veach and, Clark Hunt and everybody was like, nope, nay, we don't need that. We don't need that at all. We're good like we are. So you guys are just dumb.
Not today.
But then the reasons why we thought this come to fruition 4 plays into camp. So yeah, it's natural to be a little frustrated.
Hey, a lot of people are like, why is he back there taking punt returns?
It's daggone warm-ups. He dude, if he would have if Kadarius Toney would have ate the wrong thing for lunch and had to run to the porta potty, he was going to tear that meniscus. That's all there is to it.
Right.
Like the guy's fragile.
Tilly Train asked, I watched the Andy Reid live interview and he said cleaned up some cartilage. Is that the same as a meniscus tear? I think that's what they were cleaned up the first time. It's just cartilage. More than likely there was either something causing that or he did it again. I don't really know the severity of it. It's not nothing like ACL, MCL kind of stuff. But to be honest, you don't want your wide receiver 1 to keep having recurring meniscus tears. I mean, it's just not ideal. It really isn't. And I get it. Nobody is hitting the panic switch. I don't think it's the end of the world. No. But it's frustrating. It's frustrating because the entire time we said, is he a wide receiver 1? What was the one reason we said he probably couldn't be a wide receiver 1? It wasn't talent.
Injury concerns.
It was injury concerns, and he proved it within 6 seconds.
We're past it. We're past that. They're not going to get some proven wide receiver.
Right. They're not
going to do it. And now Kadarius Toney's hurt again. Imagine that. So we're rolling with what we got. so we got the young guys, and yeah, Dave, good to see you, my man. Frustration is exactly what I'm feeling. That's the thing with everybody, man. You're rolling with what you got, and I don't feel bad about what we got. It's just that it's just a roll of the dice. That's the thing about it. Do you really? Okay. Do you want to roll the dice on wide receivers in Patrick Mahomes' prime in the middle of a dynasty?
No,
That don't seem like a good idea. It's a bad idea. But hey, we did. We're rolling the dice, so that's it. We got a 50-50 shot at this year. So our chances of repeating are not as great as they were. But hey, we're still a good team. We're still the favorite, I would say. And yeah, I'm excited to see if Rashee Rice can actually get more of a role than normal rookie receivers would.
Dude,
because he's looking good in camp.
Has he not?
Yes, sir. I mean, and then you mentioned Richie James. MVS has got to step it up this year. Sky Moore is going to step it up this year. You're going to see a lot more Sky Moore. And then you got guys like Justin Ross that's still hanging around there that had all the hype in the world, up until a month ago, and then everybody decided they didn't know who he was. But yeah, he's still got a chance of getting out there and going off. So I mean, I'm not worried about it, and I'm excited to see how it plays out, but frustrating. Yeah.
Right. David Miller says Toney is the NFL's version of Anthony Davis. Sorta, right? All the talent in the world just can't stay on the court/field. We'll say court/field. I don't think this is going to be a big thing, but I don't think here's what I think. With Kadarius Toney's track record of injuries, and there is a long list. Let me bring up his list of injuries here for you guys. Jordan Foote tweets, hamstring, 2021. Ankle sprain, 2021. Quad contusion, 2021. Oblique strain, 2021. Shoulder strain, 2021. Good God, what a year for the Giants. Knee procedure, 2022. Hamstring, 2022. Hamstring, week 11, 2022. Meniscus, this year, same, going back to the 2022 knee procedure, back to another surgery on that as well. He's proven over and over again this is an injury kind of thing, okay? We're just going to have to deal with it. But Rashee Rice, Sky Moore, MVS, they're just going to have to step up in his place. And the point of the whole entire little rage about Kadarius Toney's injury, do we rush him back by week 1? Andy says he'll be back and be fine. Do you, A, Steve, think that he's going to be back and be fine by week 1? And B, would you even try to rush him back by week 1? Or would you say, screw it, let's put him on the PUP list, the IR for 4 weeks, bring in a 6-7 wide receivers, and with him that would be 8, and then say just screw it and go on with the young guys,
This is what I say. I say we get Kadarius Toney, one of these bad boys.
Oh, you bubble boy. That's what you were doing the whole time during my epic speech.
Yeah, I have no idea what
bubble
you said.
boy Google.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
See him over
take
there?
it off
That's
the screen and listen to me. Just take it off and shut up.
And no, I was listening.
Okay.
I was listening.
Is he going to be starting the IR? Do you think that's a good idea?
I don't know.
You don't think it's a good idea?
I don't know if he'll be on the PUP list or whatever, but I guarantee you he's probably not going to play week 1. I would almost bet it.
If he don't play week 1, I would just say, look, don't play week 2, 3, and 4. Let's get it back healthy, and let's take the younger guys in. You're not going to lose a whole season out in the first 4 weeks. Even if you go 0-4, which we're not going to do, your season wouldn't technically be over.
Well, this is encouraging. Gil says that he had that same surgery, and it's had it scoped, and it healed fast. So that's good. So that's good to know. But my thing with Kadarius Toney is, it's like even when he's healed up and he's back on the field, you're just literally like literally a tall blade of grass away from another injury.
Right.
And
if
it's
this guy
like,
tripped
dude,
over his own shoestring, he'd break an ankle.
Every time he gets the ball anyway, and he starts cutting the way he cuts when he gets the ball, you cringe. We did it all last year. I do it in his practice videos. I do it in his workout videos. It's like, man, it's hard to watch because his ACL, MCL, ankles. I mean, everything is just like screaming. But it is what it is, man. Hopefully he'll be back. But I shouldn't say that he won't be back week 1, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's not. Like if it comes week 1 and he's not playing, I'm not going to be surprised whatsoever. I'm not going to be like, damn, I thought he was going to be back. No, I'm just not going to be surprised about it. But either way, I think Andy will have the team ready to roll. Like I said, man, just some young guys are going to have to step up and get it done. Sky's going to have a breakout year regardless. So, I mean, he's just got to keep doing what he was doing. But people like Rashee Rice, might get thrown to the fire a little bit. Like, hey, you might be out there more than you need to be with what you know about the playbook so far. But I mean, it is what it is, and I wouldn't be mad at that because he's looked good at camp so far. He's got a lot of natural talent, and anytime you get on the field, it goes to
look,
give you more experience, makes you better. So
this is the thing about Kadarius Toney's injuries. We just seen the long list of them, but bodies work. Look, bodies work as in they're a big kinetic chain, right? So if you have ankle injuries, you're eventually going to have knee injuries. You're eventually going to have hip injuries and hamstring injuries. If it starts at the top, it's going to go to the bottom. So he constantly has hamstring injuries. It's going to affect the knee. It's going to affect the ankles. This is just what it is. This kid needs a long rehabilitation time. He really does. Otherwise, he's just going to keep aggravating something. To me, 4 weeks on the IR.
What he did with the New York Giants for
exactly. So to me, 4 weeks on the IR. Bring over 6 wide receivers. You don't have to count Kadarius Toney's a roster spot now, so you can take your normal 6, or screw it, go ahead and take 7, and let Nico Remigio get on the roster. Maybe Kakoa Crawford can make it. Maybe one of these younger guys. You know what I'm saying? And just let them work and let them go for 4 weeks. And that way, if Kadarius Toney never comes back or he comes back and he gets injured in 2 weeks, these guys have the experience now going forward. Rashee Rice gets more acclimated to the offense, unlike what Sky had to deal with last year. The only way they could get Sky in the game was to get out there and fluff a punt return every other week. We don't want that. I want Rashee Rice to get out there and get his work in. I don't care if he's a rookie anymore. Andy Reid's got to suck it up, get the guys on the field. We don't care if they're rookies anymore. This is the path they've chosen. This is our bed. Let's lie in it. So now it's time to go. We wanted to pump up Justin Ross all year. Let's pump up Justin Ross. Get him on the team. Get him in the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about it, man. You don't know. He's got such a high ceiling. He could go out there and just really show out. Or he could go be a dud. It is what it is with Justin Ross, but you got to give him a shot. I mean, all the hype in the world the last year and a half. So why just, flush it now?
Julia, so you're telling us Ross has a chance?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't he? I think he had a chance regardless. So, I mean, I don't know. That's just where I'm at with it, man. I think that we're in a good spot. I'm not worried about Kadarius Toney missing or anything like that. I'm not like, damn, we're not going to win games without Kadarius Toney.
Right.
But I'm like, dude, really?
Tech9 says trade Toney.
If somebody would take him, is that something that you would consider?
No. Well, no. I mean, no. Nobody's going to take him.
Right, but okay.
Who would trade for Kadarius Toney at this point? Is
Brett Veach in charge of 2 teams?
Who's the people that donate organs? Like, whoever donates organs, they would want Kadarius Toney because they would just want to medically research him as to why his body has failed him his entire life.
Well, I mean,
what's he done?
Is there somebody out there that would want to do
protein?
Is there somebody out there that would do the same thing Brett Veach did and just be like, hey, I can get him till the end of his rookie contract for cheap and see if he can do this thing or not? I just don't think that you would get anything worth trading. I think still Tony's ceiling and the chance of him playing.
Can we talk to Marshall? Marshall, he'll prove you all wrong. Just stay tuned. Nobody's saying Kadarius Toney sucks. Nobody's saying that he don't have all the talent in the world. But for everybody to get on here over and over and keep saying he's going to prove you all wrong, just watch. He'll get healthy this time. Just watch. We've heard this now the entire time he's been in
bring
Kansas
up that
City.
Injury history. Bring that up.
Okay, give me.
I don't think Marshall saw it. Look, Marshall.
Come on, Marshall. Hamstring. In August 2021, hamstring, and they said, "Oh, he'll be back." Okay, he got back. Then an ankle. Then he got back, and then a quad, and then they got.
And
back
rumor
the next
has
week.
it.
Oblique.
And rumor has it that shoulder strain in week 16 of 2021 was because he got free Skinamax in his hotel room.
Right. And no, it's not Kadarius Toney slander. Kadarius Toney's doing it to himself. You can't look. I can't be a professional bowler and have a wrist injury every week and then go tell everybody how good of a bowler I am. Like, you can't do it. Like, come on, all minor injuries. Hey, he's still missing time. Everybody said D-Hop was a diva and didn't want to play. D-Hop has played more games under injury designation than Kadarius Toney's played in his entire career. So
can I just step in here, Marshall?
Keep the receipts, Marshall. Keep them.
What are we keeping?
What are you
receipts
keeping receipts
for?
on though? Yeah,
I don't understand.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not some freaking mystery that Kadarius Toney has an injury history.
Yeah, what
we're
are we
not
talking
saying
about?
we're not saying he's going to get hurt again and again and again and again. But gosh, it looks like it, doesn't it, Marshall? I mean, let's just use our heads here.
Dude, whatever. Marshall, I appreciate you being here. You're wrong about Kadarius Toney.
But we love you.
If you
'cause
think
love the
Kadarius
Chiefs.
Toney is going to recover from this, and whenever he comes back, he's just solid and good to go, and he's never going to miss another game his entire career, I'll take that bet with you because you're out of your mind. He's not going to finish with 1,000 yards receiving. There is no way, with the way he's going right now, I would bet any money on 1,000 yards receiving.
No,
for
I would
Kadarius
not
Toney.
bet money on it. But I mean, if the dude
Could
can
he
be on
get
the-
there?
if he's on
Possibly.
the field, yeah, easy.
I'm going
But-
to take Lewis's bet. 1,000 days on IR is more believable. And it's not. This is not Kadarius Toney slander. It really isn't. It's just called frustration, and Kadarius Toney's got to get it together. It's on him. You're a professional athlete that just assumed the number one wide receiver row for the best franchise in the country, the world champions, and you just keep getting injured. And I get it. Injuries aren't something you can control half the time, but sometimes it is. It's body. It's taking care of yourself. It's
Hey.
preparing properly.
Okay,
If he's
so-
doing all that and he's still getting injured, sorry.
If you're betting, if you were actually betting for Kadarius Toney to go over or under 1,000 yards receiving, what stops you from saying over?
What is it? One more time.
Over or under 1,000 yards receiving Kadarius Toney
Right.
this year. What stops you from betting the over?
100% not talent. It's 100% injury concerns.
I think that's what Marshall's not getting through his head. It's like,
Right.
dude, we know Kadarius Toney could go off. We
How
have no
many-
doubts about that.
Okay, look, what's an over-under on how many games we think Kadarius Toney could miss this year? Let's be realistic. How many games? What would Vegas set an over-under on with games? 12?
I don't know, 10.
10? Yeah, I would probably say they're somewhere between the 10 and the 12 mark. We'll say 11. So let's just say he goes over, and he goes over by just 2 games. So he plays 13 out of the 17 games. He would have to have 100 yards receiving, and he would have to average 85 yards receiving per week to hit the 1,000-yard mark.
Right. So it is possible that he misses no time this year. It hasn't started yet. It's possible he could play every freaking game. But would you really bet your real life money on that, Marshall? That's what
You
we're
think,
saying.
okay, that's all I'm trying to say. You think that he's going to come back from this and he's not going to miss another week. He's not going to have a sore knee. He's not going to have an ankle injury. He's not going to pull his hammy again. He's bound to miss games. If you told me I could risk everything I had, and if Kadarius Toney misses one game, I'll take every dollar in the world. And if he didn't miss, he played a whole season without missing, I'd croak over tomorrow. I'd take that bet all day long because he's going to miss games.
Yeah.
It-
Yeah.
it's
He's
just-
going to miss. He's going to miss games. It's all there
I
is
just
to
don't
it.
see it.
I just
see
don't
it.
like. That's the thing about it. Is it going to be the little nitpicky stuff? More than likely, it'll probably be a week here, a week there, week 2 weeks here. But I'm not saying he's going to like just
Right.
shred his knee out.
Well, Terrence asked, the real question is, why is he doing special teams, bro? He's a wide receiver 1. I don't think they were necessarily doing
They weren't
special
actually. They were
teams.
just warming
It was
up.
a warming up. But look, he's not the only person to say that, and a lot of people are saying it. I think Lance Twidwell said it. He's like, look, why should they ever be in that position anyway? If he wants to warm up, catch balls from somebody.
Okay. What's the difference between catching a punt and making a cut, or catching a pass and making a cut? Like, it was going to happen if it's going
It's
to
a
happen.
warm up. He shouldn't be making cuts anyway.
Yeah,
Go warm
well,
up your hamstrings and just catch
whatever.
the ball. Like,
I mean,
what are you doing?
I'm not on that train because I mean, if you're that soft, bro, it don't matter what you're doing. Like I said, he could have had to rush to the porta potty and done it. It's just, if it wasn't going to happen then, it's going to happen the next
Brian
play.
says over under 14 games for Toney. I'm taking the under on that all week.
Yeah, under.
I don't see that ever happening. Hey, I hope he proves us wrong.
Right,
I hope he
that's what I was
plays every
getting ready to
freaking game and has 7,000 yards receiving at the end of the year. I just, until you prove it, you can't say
Right.
with complete straight face and confidence. Like, I get that you guys want to have confidence in him and you don't want to give up on him. He's a Chief. I don't want to hate on a Chief. It's not about hating on him. It's about holding him
No.
accountable to play here.
It's not even holding him accountable. It's just, being in touch with reality here.
Yeah,
Since
let's be
he
honest.
came into the league, man, how many games has this guy actually played, do you think,
right.
compared to not played? Like, that's something.
There's
to
a
look
there's
at.
a stat somewhere. It's pretty close to 50-50.
Marshall brings up the staff. A lot of people bring that up. We have a great staff here in Kansas City. They can't perform miracles.
He's been working with them now. He got here, and for the rest, he missed games last year. Once he was with our staff, he had a whole offseason to recoup.
But it is what it is. I mean, that's just where we're at with it. I think
that's the same mentality though of, well, it's okay that we signed Donovan Smith and Jawan Taylor, even if they can't do it, they're better than OBJ. Well, why is that? Well, because they're playing next to Joe Tooney and they'll elevate his play. Well, where did OBJ play next to? Joe Tooney, who was the well, we got good coaches, man. They'll coach him up. Who was the coach last year with OBJ and the other fool at the right tackle? Wiley. We had the same people. This is a crazy talk. It's crazy talk. You got to come down to reality. William says, I've been watching the Chiefs since the 70s. Take a breath and let the organization handle it. Even the bad years, Chiefs represented KC well. Okay, I get it. Nobody's saying the whole season's over, but at the same time, it's frustrating.
Look, Mike, your frustration's coming across, I guess, to these people as like you're panicking or you think something's bad, wrong, and we're going to lose the game. That's not what he's doing here. This is just Mike, by the way. This is how he gets about everything. But that's not what we're saying. Like, the Chiefs are completely 100% fine. They're still the favorite to win the Super Bowl. No panic button's been hit. It's just, good God.
I told you. I've explained it already. Like, it's not a panic button. It's a frustration button.
Well, yeah.
I'm tired of hearing it. I'm tired of hearing all offseason when everybody made the claim that he was not a wide receiver one because of injury. Everyone was told they were dumb. I'm tired of everybody saying D-Hop or any other wide receiver, veteran help, and everybody said, no, we have Kadarius Toney. You guys
Mike,
are dumb.
You've been telling them the stove is hot. Don't touch it. The stove is hot.
And they're touching it.
They touched it.
Learn it.
And now, why are you acting like I'm crazy?
That's okay. Yeah, that's it. It's the what's the Adam Sandler movie?
They gaslight the crap out of you,
yes,
dude.
It's the Adam Sandler movie where you go to the therapist and he makes you mad. He's like, "Don't get angry," and you're like, "I'm not angry," and then you eventually become angry because people tell you not to get angry.
Mike needs anger management.
It's gaslighting. You're straight up. Chiefs Kingdom is the biggest gaslighters there's ever been. Like,
they are.
There's a huge portion
the
of
way
insane.
Think about how bad they are at it. They literally like a week ago were acting like they never hyped up Justin Ross. That's how bad they'll gaslight you.
Dude, love Chiefs Kingdom, but a lot of us have to come back to reality a little bit. Like, just a little bit. I know we're on a high here from all the Super Bowl wins.
I'm tired of.
Let's get back to remember some of the bad times though.
Let's talk about camp.
It can get bad.
And
I love
Kadarius
camp.
Kadarius Toney wasn't at camp today because he had surgery. But let's talk about the guys that were at camp.
Who you want to talk about?
Well, let's talk about Rashee Rice because this is a man that's going to have to step it up young on his first year. And,
Rashee Rice.
He's been a beast so far.
Look, Rashee Rice proved today in camp that he's going to run. And we speculated. You said Sky Moore was going to do a lot of the juju stuff, and I think you're right. I think he's there. But we also said we think it's very possible that Rashee Rice is going to do it as well. And we've seen it. Here was a tweet today from Matt Pike. Rashee Rice is going to make an impact on this young receiver room. He made an impressive grab in the back of the end zone from Mahomes. He couldn't get his feet down. He had another one where he did get his feet down. He made some good plays.
I'll come with it too.
Here, I'll play his little underneath route that looks like Juju Smith-Schuster. Tell me that isn't a perfect Juju route, and watch him turn and burn on it. You can see Fortson lined up there. He's going to come right under Fortson. Fortson's clearing it out. And watch the turn and burn. The dude can play.
Right. Well,
that's all there is to it.
That's the thing. He's going to be playing out of the slot a little bit. He can play outside. He can do a lot of different things, man. It's just.
Do you want to see his touchdown catch? A lot of people want to see his touchdown catch in the back of the end zone. Watch him extend the play. This is a very veteran-savvy move, by the way. He's going to start on the left side. You're going to see him finish all the way across the field. There he goes. He's running right up the middle. Gets behind the defense.
Well, dude, the main thing there is the ball tracking ability.
Was that on L'Jarius Sneed, by the way? Number 38. Did I see 38 back there covering him? One more time. Let's watch it one more time. Let's see if it was Sneed for the Sneed crowd. He gets passed off. Willie Gay passes him. It's hard to tell. It looks like Rudy Kern right there. It does say 38. Yeah, he's been passed off so much. Okay, look, I'm going to say this. Rashee Rice shout out to KC Sports Network, by the way, for the footage. If you guys don't follow them, go follow them. They do good work.
Yeah, over
a
on
lot
Twitter,
of people
they've
can't
been posting
get
a lot of
in.
good stuff.
Right,
Yeah.
you can't get into camp. These are close to a lot of the media. They're ones that are allowed in. So if you haven't followed them on Twitter, do that. Props to those guys for allowing us to all use this stuff. But yes, I think Rashee Rice can beat the Andy Reid stigma of the early wide receivers don't get to play. With Kadarius Toney having his injury problems and stuff, I believe Rashee Rice now, and the fact that he threw in Texas with Mahomes, and Mahomes actually said, hey, Rashee Rice would be a good wide receiver to go get, and they went and got him.
Marshall with the 2 bomb. We appreciate you, Marshall. He says, all love. Does Rice finish with more than James? Yeah, I mean, everybody has different opinions, so it's not like anything crazy. We're all about different opinions here. But your opinion's wrong this time. I saw you say something about Darren Waller in the comments, and the Giants just have a knack for getting these guys that refuse to play football, don't they?
Marshall's got a big fish right there, man. Are you like a deep sea fisherman, Marshall? That's awesome.
No, we appreciate the support, and I don't know.
Right.
That's a good question, actually.
That is a good question.
It's like, I would say no. Maybe I don't know. It's hard to tell,
dude. I think they might be like spot on. I will say this: I think Rice is making the team. He's a lock. He's one of the 4 locks.
Of course,
we included Kadarius Toney as a
I think
lock.
Richie James is pretty much a lock at this point,
right.
too. Though
I think Richie James is getting himself into the lock category. I really do.
Right.
So that would be 5 locks. And like I said, if you start Kadarius Toney on the PUP or the IR for 4 weeks, that now means that your 6 receivers are 5. So you could take an extra receiver. So you could actually take that 7th, and it still only be 6 receivers for 4 weeks. You could go ahead and take the 7. That'd be 8 receivers, basically, the top 8. That would be a hell of a play by the Chiefs, to be honest, with a young receiving core. Let's see what happens. But I think Richie James, like Steve said, I think he's moving towards more the 53 more than he is the cut line.
Yeah.
And
if I had
he
to,
does a lot of good things with the ball in his hands.
If I had to bet on it right now, I would probably take Richie James with the most yardage, just because he's not a rookie, and I think he's going to be on the team. But that's a tough one, dude.
Okay, if
that's
KC
a tough
misses any
question.
time, I think Richie James could be that guy that kind of fills in for him a little
Fills
bit.
that little void, yeah, maybe.
He's got that same I don't want to say the same twitch, because Kadarius Toney's electric. You don't see nobody move like him.
No,
that's why his knees are always.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's why he's struggling so bad.
Hey, but look, you don't need knees. Remember, Tajay Spears, he ain't got no knees, and the Titans done drafted him. That boy don't even have ACLs or MCLs in either knee or something.
You know,
like
I talked to a Titans fan yesterday. I was actually texting one of my friends. He's a big Titans fan, season ticket holder and stuff. And he was giving me crap about our D-Hop podcast that we had, like right after he signed with the Titans. He was like, man, you ain't giving the Titans no respect, man. I was like, hey, just look, I ain't going to BS you, buddy. I ain't going to BS you. I said what I said. But no, he was talking about that yesterday.
What does he want? What do Titans fans want? Did you see DeAndre Hopkins signing the contract the other day? He looked like pure torture.
He didn't look happy, did he?
This guy looked like he was signing his soul to Satan. Like, that's how happy he looked to be signing that piece of paper. Nobody wants to go play with Ryan Tannehill. Like, he's nothing but a decoy for King Henry. That's it. What's up, Steven? Steven's in the house. He says, what's up, ACU?
What's up?
Good to see you, man. Jared says, say bye-bye to Stone Cold. I'm still not a firm believer that Chris Jones is going anywhere.
Yeah, I don't think so.
If he does, that's Brett Veach's biggest blunder and biggest mistake he's ever made by far. Stone Cold is he's a top, 3 defensive player in the whole league, probably a top 3 to 5. I can argue it.
He was a defensive player of the year finalist, right? So I mean, he's at least top 4.
And we're going to cut that again. I don't care if he wants $30 million or not. That could still be blowing smoke. These journalists aren't right about everything. We've already seen the Kadarius Toney. They said he had off-season surgery. He didn't. He had it this morning. So they could be wrong.
I can't get on board. I still can't get on board with the guys that are like, if he wants $30 million, he's not getting it. We can't pay him that. We're never going to pay anybody that much.
Somebody I seen yesterday posted and said 25 we were fine with, but we wouldn't pay a cent over 25. And if he's asking for a cent over 25 million per year, he's gone. The Chiefs are trading him. Where did you get that info from? Like, who did you talk to that said he couldn't ask for 26? Because we thought 26 was the starting point.
I mean, honestly, I think a fair number is 28 to 30,000. Like they're gonna have to pay the man
million?
something. Yeah, million. Sorry,
You're fine.
I was thinking in real world terms.
You're speaking like if, hey, we'll take 30 grand. He's out here fighting for 30 million a year. Okay.
Sorry, I forgot we're in fantasy land.
Right.
All right, yeah, but 30 freaking million. It's going to be somewhere between 27 and 30 million is like where they need to be. Like he needs that much.
Right. Isn't that a starting? And to be honest, I think Quentin Williams got what, 26 and a half or something like that, 26.
I saw somebody left a comment yesterday and they were like, why couldn't you just guarantee this man 75 to 78 million dollars over 3 years and let it roll? And that's not a bad idea. It's not. All of his money would be guaranteed. 3 years is ideal for the Chiefs more than it is for Chris Jones.
Right.
I feel like it does kind of hit on both ends, and he's still making, 25 plus a year.
Isn't there a reason though that they don't do stuff like that though?
I mean, what if he got injured and he could never play again? They're still paying him all that money.
There has to be something there that prevents you from doing stuff like that. I don't know, but here's my deal with the whole Chris Jones situation. Let's just say let's agree on a magical number of years. What do you think if years are agreed to? What do you think? You think the Chiefs are wanting 3, he's wanting 5, so we'll just settle on 4 years, okay? Just for the sake of argument, we'll say 4 years, and Chris Jones wants $30 million. $30 million. That's 120. And just because you're getting $30 million a year, don't mean that's guaranteed money. So okay, cool. Right. Why not give it to him? Because here's my thing: the Chiefs want $27 million. Okay, so over 4 years, that's $12 million. You're arguing and bickering and going to lose a world-class defender, the best defensive tackle in the game, over $12 million, who, by the way, we just gave Justin Watson $3.5-4 million in the offseason for Justin Watson. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, $12 million is nothing. At the end of 4 years, you're going to look back at $12 million and scoff at it. So why in the world are we playing hard-ass hardball right now over $12 million? That's probably not going to get paid to him anyway.
There's some weird perspectives out there, man. I saw
strange, dude.
Somebody's like, well, Kelsey only makes like $14 million a year. Why in the world would you pay Chris Jones 30?
What?
And it's like, there's a reason why Kelsey's making that much. And it's because he wants them to be able to pay people like Chris Jones. Like, that's the whole point of Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce not, asking for astronomical salaries, because they want a team around them. They want to win. You're not going to win without a defense.
Right.
And we don't have a defense without Chris Jones. It goes from top 5, top 10 to bottom 5 pretty quick. And this is what it is. I mean, I think if Chris Jones isn't there putting the pressure on, man, doesn't it expose a lot of those rookie DBs that looked good last year?
I mean, presumably, yeah. I think so. I think because Chris Jones offers so much pressure. And again, people say, oh, well, Chris Jones didn't have big stats in the Super Bowl. Well, they had 2 weeks to game plan.
That's what I can't figure out either.
It's not all about stats.
It's always about sacks to everybody. Like, man, he didn't have no sacks in the Super Bowl. Yeah, okay, cool. Well, he still did his job, obviously. Like, I don't know.
Dude, DTs don't judge themselves off sacks. The fact that you can say that he has all those sacks just proves how good and how elite he is. Sacks are not something DTs judge by. DTs stop the run. DT takes double teams so that the edge rushers can win. He's the reason that George Karlaftis can get so much pressure on the edge. He's the reason Frank Clark could be so effective in the playoffs. That's what he does. Any normal person that watches football has to understand just the basic, simple concepts of what a defensive tackle does. A defensive tackle is not a pass rusher. Can they be pass rushers? Yes, they can be good. Chris Jones is. That's why he's elite. That's why Aaron Donald picks up linemen and throws them.
Yeah, but back to the contract thing, the money talk.
By the way, what's up, Josh?
Yeah, what's up, Josh? I don't think people understand the way things work. Like, I'm not saying I know exactly how everything goes, but okay, so everybody's like, if you pay Chris Jones $30 million, you can't re-sign anybody. Right. You're going to lose Creed Humphrey. You're going to lose Trey Smith. You're going to lose Nick Bolton. You're going to lose whoever. That's not necessarily the case. I mean, Chris Jones, his hit on the salary cap this year and next year is way worse than it would be if they restructure him and pay him $30 million a year.
Right.
Because they're not going to pay him. They're literally not going to be like $30 million this year, $30 million this year. It's always gets stretched out over a certain amount of years. And then there's a signing bonus. all kinds of incentives. There's lots of different things that get thrown in there. So it actually, if they were to just be like, okay, yeah, you win, we're going to pay you $30 million. That actually frees money up for them to re-sign people, like Nick Bolton, for instance, or Trey Smith. Like
Right.
if you don't get anything worked out with Chris Jones, then you're just kind of screwed. Like you're going to have to play him on, on his salary this year with a huge cap hit. Next year, you're going to have to tag him for $32 million. Like, I mean, I don't know. I just think that people aren't looking at the bigger picture. They just hear a lot of money and they freak out.
Yeah, that's the thing. Chris Jones he's demanding like 25, 30 million just this year. You got to think about it. If they're offering him 25 or 30 million per year, that gets pushed back. Like, so this year his cap hit won't be as much, which means all that money now becomes free and we can use it. So it does short term lock, in long term you're going to pay it, but in the short term, dude, we've talked about it before. The NFL salary cap is just a beautiful game of kicking the can down the road on your responsibilities and payments. That's all it is. The federal government is, just look at the way they do it. Every year it's $25 trillion in defenses and stuff, and they can't pay it, and they're billions and billions and trillions of dollars in debt. That's the same way NFL fans and NFL teams do it, but the NFL teams have got to be under X amount of money per year, and that's the cap. But they kick it down the road. How do you think like the Rams and all of them keep signing mega teams? But you see with GMs that do stupid stuff like that sometimes, if they're not good at getting out of it, they get in trouble. The Rams was very short-lived. If you see it, and now they're in all sorts of trouble. They're even talking about taking offers for Cooper Kupp, taking offers for Aaron Donald. You don't want to get in that situation, but at the same time, signing Chris Jones long-term does not, I don't think, in any way affect Nick Bolton, for example. Nick Bolton, if he's worth the money, they'll pay him. They'll find a way to do it.
Right. I mean, there's teams all around the league paying people as much as Chris Jones, and they still make things work. I mean.
Right, look at Stephen James. He said they threw away $7 million with Frank Clark. Right. Frank Clark took a dead cap hit of $7.5 million this year.
Right,
so,
and people wanted to sign him back and pay him more.
And you were wanting to sign him back for another $5 or $6 million, which means we'd have paid Frank Clark $15 million this year. And that's my point. At the end of a 4-year, $30 million per year, so $120 million deal for Chris Jones.
Oh man,
you're basically saving $7 million, and we paid that on Chris.
I see some of you guys rolling in a little late, but better late than never. Chief Kelsey and Doug. Hope you guys are doing good. KL's in the house. Ray, T-Bone. Hope you guys are doing good. Yeah, we discussed Kadarius Toney and the knee thing a little bit, and then we're talking about camp. But yeah.
Just talking about it again with the Kadarius Toney thing. He did have surgery this morning. They confirmed it. So Schefter, when he said he had surgery during the offseason, that was what Kadarius Toney said.
That actually makes me feel better about it. Like I said earlier, because I thought he had off-season cleanup on his
right. And that's what Kadarius Toney tweeted, by the way, yesterday.
And then he turned around and freaking hurt it 4 plays into camp. So I was like, that's not good. But come to find out, there was no off-season.
Right. So the
cleanup
was just
the cleanup.
Right.
Yeah.
It was based off of the play that had the other day, which, again, it's not ideal to have your wide receiver one that's injury prone to have another injury. But as Steve said, that does make me feel better, because I was thinking with Schefter's report now, you had a surgery in 2022, you had a surgery during the offseason that we weren't told about, and then he re-injures it and you redid it today. And so that got cleared up. It's only been 2 surgeries, not 3. So good. But again, there's still frustration there. And I know a lot of Chiefs Kingdoms are with us. There's got to be a lot of frustration. I will say this, though. Rashee Rice, Sky Moore, awesome. They're going to do good. They're going to pick up the slack. Another guy that people are not talking about is old Kakoa Crawford. Matt McMullen said he had one of the best catches today, a leaping catch during 11-on-11. We didn't get footage of this. I don't know if there's been film or footage released of it just yet, or if anybody even got it. I don't know. I would presume somebody got it, but I've not been able to find it. But a lot of people are saying Kakoa Crawford has a chance to make the team because a lot of the special teams guys forced them to come back and sign him to that UDFA deal. Does that – okay, look, so if Kadarius Toney – let's just say Kadarius Toney thinks he's going to be back by week 1, final preseason game rolls around, and he's back doing some stretches, he's doing this and that, but his knee keeps getting sore, and they're like, look, let's not rush him back. PUP list, he's going to go IR for 4 weeks. And you take Do you take 6 or 7 wide receivers at that point, Steve? Do you take 6 and just say, okay, Kadarius is our 7, or do you say they win our wide receiver 1? We might as well take the most we can get.
I have no clue, dude. I think that, I mean, they've never took more than 6, and they've only took 6 a couple of times. So there's a lot of people that think that taking 7's not ever going to happen in a million years, and they could be right. I mean, Andy Reid's made the comment before when they asked about 7 wide receivers, he was like, "What are you going to do with all of them?" You know. But I mean, it is like a little bit of a cushion if you have injuries, which we do.
Right.
So I don't know. I think they'll probably be around that 6 mark, to be quite honest about it.
Okay, so if you take 6, and again, we're going to presume that they put Kadarius Toney on the IR for 4 weeks.
Personally, would take 7 at wide receiver. I would take that fullback position that opened up and use it on receiver just because of the situation, and with good reason. And if you really wanted to double it up, if you really wanted to double down your bets there, you could take my man Jerry Neely and put him on the squad, and he can do double duty.
Right, that's a good one. So that's kind of my question. Let's just say we take 7 and we put Kadarius on the IR. Do you take somebody like a Kekoa Crawford for special teams ability only?
No.
Or do you take somebody like the Jerry and Ely that can play wide receiver, running back, and some special teams?
You know what I'm saying.
So I think Kekoa Crawford.
You already know what I'm saying.
Right. So as much as Kekoa and them try, you're saying that once you get to, Justin Ross. So once you get to John Ross, and so that gives you John Ross, Ty Freifogel, Kekoa Crawford. You're saying that once you get to those bottom 3, that you would rather have Jerry and Ely over any of those 3 on the roster.
100%.
So you're not a John Ross guy.
No.
I don't think John Ross. I don't see why you'd waste a
here's
roster
the thing
spot
about
on a guy with John Ross that you've already got injury concerns.
Here's
with
the
Toney.
thing
Why are you
about
gonna put
John
him on
Ross
it?
is like everybody's like, man, he's so fast. I think Jerry and Ely in his own right is one of the fastest guys on the team. He run a 4.3. The dude looks like the fastest guy on the field if you go to camp and watch him. So I mean, it's not like you're putting a slow guy in that spot. John Ross is just he's like Kadarius Toney without the talent.
John Ross ran a 4.22. But
Right.
that was out of college with
That was before 900
Right.
injuries. Yeah, man. I don't see John Ross being a thing. I think that Kekoa Crawford and Nico, if he can pass waivers, they're good practice squad guys to have.
Right.
And Smith Marset is another one.
Again,
no one talks about.
If you take 7 and you put Kadarius on the IR, that's 8. Does Nico slot in at that point?
What?
If you put Kadarius on the IR and you take 7 wide receivers other than him, does that give Nico a chance to slide in?
Well, yeah, it gives everybody a chance to slide in, right?
Well, which one's the one that you're taking?
Ely.
Like, if you had to do it right now, besides Ely, just strict receiver. I think Nico's
well. That's
better.
what they have him as. Yeah, Nico would probably be a better option than Crawford.
Yeah,
Ty Freifogel's interesting, but I don't know enough about him.
He's interesting. Wide receivers, man, we talked those guys into the ground, rightfully so. We don't know what
it's just like it's a big thing, man. It's like,
but nobody's talking about running back. That was a big thing, especially with Pacheco.
But it's not.
Well, the big thing was, is Clyde going to make it or not?
Yeah,
I think we've seen today. Check this out. Deneric Prince was working with the first team unit. Okay, cool. He's working with the first team. Clyde's out. He's first team now. I guess all the Clyde guys can rejoice. He might be gone. It looks like Deneric Prince is jumping him. Nay. Pete Sweeney says once they ran 11 on 11, they ran 5 straight running plays, and 3 went to Clyde. So the first 3 went to Clyde. I think Clyde, again, we've said it over and over, he's going to play. He's going to make the team. I don't think he's got much trade value. I don't think you take a late-round pick for him. There's no point, especially if Pacheco could re-injure himself or something by accident. You don't want that. You want that proven veteran. Jerick McKinnon's not an ever-down back with a ton of injury history, and I don't think you throw that much workload on Deneric Prince like that. They didn't even do that with Pacheco last year. Pacheco got eased in.
Yep.
So Clyde is 100% on this team, and like it or not, he's going to get the bulk of the carries. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't start week 1.
You know what the beauty of all of it is, Mike? Like the Kadarius Toney stuff and everything else, and everybody can be frustrated or whatever. But you know what? Football's back in full swing, baby. We're in camp. It's beautiful, and it's awesome to be a Kansas City Chiefs fan right now. We have 155 people in here at the moment. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome. Don't be afraid to get in the chat. We got awesome people in our community. Also, hit that sub button. That way you can come back next time we're live or whatever. Hit that little bell. You'll get a notification. And if you guys don't care, take a minute, hit the like button, see if we can get some more people in here before we get done with this live stream today. Would like to get a lot more questions, a lot more people in the chat. That'd be awesome. This will not be replayable, by the way. This is not a replayable live. We will have our full podcast coming out here in just a little while. And I suggest you guys, when you leave here, be on the lookout for that and do us a favor and just watch it. Just turn it on and watch the whole thing.
Just turn it on and watch it. Let it play in the background. Hit that like button. But yeah, we appreciate you guys being here for sure. Like, sub, hit that bell. That's just all I gotta say.
Clyde is going to play.
But yes, Clyde is going to play.
Clyde's going to play. He's going to be on the team.
Tommy,
sorry, Julia Gulia.
What's up, Tom? Tom says Prince is better than Clyde. You know what? I think when it's all said and done, he could be. He really could be. Andy Reid loves Clyde. It's simple as that. Like, Clyde got all the snaps against Arizona, basically. I think Pacheco had a few there at the end. I'd love to see the snap count. But either way, Clyde played a lot. He played a lot against the Chargers week 2 last year.
When Clyde was healthy and on the field in the first 6 weeks, Isaiah Pacheco got a total of 22 carries.
Yeah. So think about that.
Yep.
All the work pretty much goes to Clyde. It's just, I don't know. It's just, I'm not a big, what's it called? I'm not a proponent to think that Clyde is, I don't know how to explain it. I don't think Clyde's useless, but I don't think Clyde's elite. I think Clyde offers more good than bad, to be honest.
Well, if
you would have took Clyde in the first round,
right,
and we'd have just pulled him in as a free agent, we'd have all been like, okay, yeah,
People would not be
good.
so down on Clyde if he wasn't a first-round draft pick. He was never a first-round draft pick. That's not even his fault that the Chiefs reached on him.
I mean, we picked him, dead last?
Right.
Isn't that technically just a second-round pick anyway?
Pretty much. But, I mean, a lot of people think he's going to get released or whatever. That's not going to happen. I don't see it happening. Why would they do that?
I don't.
He's basically on the team for free.
Again,
for this year.
If you cut him.
On a contract year.
Yeah, if you let him play, it's like $3 million if you cut him, or it's like 3.5 if you cut him. It's like 2 something. It works out to be like $800K just to keep him. So you're getting Clyde Edwards-Helaire at $800K. They just signed Melvin Gordon.
A guy that's had 4 years in this offense.
Yeah, crusty Melvin Gordon just got a $3 million contract.
Crusty.
You can't not let Clyde play here for $800K. That's insane.
Yeah, I think he'll be on the team. I think it's just something that you guys got to accept. Hey, and you know what? It's not a bad thing. Clyde's done some good things here.
Brandon the Ruiner. I like that. The Ruiner. Brandon, good to see you. Become a member. Become a sub. Click that sub button. We know you like the Chiefs. You think Jones will come back to play for KC and win another Super Bowl? I'm guessing you're saying Chris Jones. I don't know any other Jones.
And yes.
Well, he's under contract, so he has to come back at some point. You cannot. Holding out does not fare well in the NFL. I think the last player we seen do that was the running back out of Pittsburgh.
Le'Veon Bell. Yeah,
Le'Veon Bell. He was the last one to do it. It ruined his career. He couldn't get back. He couldn't do it. Chris Jones is going to play. Now, I will say this. They don't have to offer him a contract. But if they don't, he's not going to come back and volunteer himself for practice. He'll be back when the season starts, and he'll play games. I just don't think you'll see him taking a shot at an injury in practice. He's not going to do it. So, might he get something done? Possibly. Either way, I think he'll play this year. He's not going to be too happy playing on a final year of his contract, knowing that this is the last time he's going to get paid. You think he wants to have some kind of stupid injury under that? And look, here's my thing. Brett Veach, the Chiefs organization, come on. I get it. At the end of the day, it's the Chiefs. It's always going to be the Chiefs. We're bigger than one player. But don't you at some point have to just do the right human thing and be like, dude, this kid wants to play here. He's give his all to the Chiefs.
He's earned that money.
He's earned it. Let's give him what he needs to be happy and play and secure him and be
That's
done
another
with
thing. It would be
not always just be
stupid.
hard asses all the time. Like,
It would
what's
be-
the deal?
It would be dumb for Chris Jones to say he don't want $30 million a year.
Right.
I
That's
mean,
my
if
point. Like,
you're
you don't go in and
negotiating
lowball
here.
yourself.
Like if you negotiate your salary at your job, you don't go in there and be like, you're going to say the top like more than what you're even thinking, right? That's just how it goes.
Right.
Everybody knows how negotiations go. And I think 30 is the bar. And I think that he
Right.
wants to be near it. I don't think Chris Jones has to have 30.
Right.
I think
Travis
if they-
says he's not getting it, period.
Maybe not, but I don't think
Yeah, I don't know if I would say that 100%.
he's going to say $30 million, right? Will he come off of it? Yeah, probably. I mean, if they come at him at 28.5 million, 29 million a year, he's probably going to say, okay, let's do this thing.
Right. And so for him saying
But the
30
rest
million,
of the contract has to go, something has
is
to
that
look
a
good to him.
win?
Guaranteed money, the year, something has to be.
Doesn't optics weigh out everything though, Steve? Chris Jones. Okay, look, we all know Chris Jones probably worth 28, 29, maybe even 30. You can make an argument that he's worth 30. He's
If
never been as
Aaron
good as Aaron
Donald's
Donald.
making 31 million, then yes, Chris
Right.
Jones is worth 30 million.
He's worth it. So look, if he comes out and says I want 30 because it's a negotiation tactic, and then he settles on 28.5 or 29, you get the people like Travis who says, "See, I told y'all Brett Veach wasn't going to play 30." It's just optics. It's like at the end of that contract, what was 29 to 30? $4 million on a 4-year deal, a 3-year deal, $3 million. Hey, it's not the end of the world. So it's semantics and it's optics. It really is. There's
Samuel, what's going on, Samuel? He says, "Bros, I have a bad feeling about Chris Jones. My gut tells me he gets traded." You know what I think? You know what I think it is, Samuel? I think it's Tyreek Hill PTSD kicking in. Don't worry, I think it's going to get done.
Yeah, and a lot of people, dude, we get people all the time. I don't remember who it is. He comes in our chat every day and says, "Man, you guys used to love Tyreek Hill when he got traded. No respect. Y'all dog him." A, I don't remember ever just worshiping Tyreek Hill. But B, they're different
we gave
situations.
Tyreek Hill a hard way to go, actually, because he's
Aren't
always
they
dropping
different
balls.
situations? Tyreek
Yeah.
Hill was a receiver, and we've already proved that Mahomes does not necessarily need that one go-to wide receiver. And by the way, Chris Jones, I think, is more important to the team as a team aspect than Tyreek Hill to our offense wasn't as important as a whole as if you removed Chris Jones from our defense. That's all I'm trying to say. Chris Jones is a lot more valuable. It's different. And no, I don't think you trade Chris Jones. I just don't think you can trade Chris Jones.
Taking Tyreek Hill off the offense did what? Won us a Super Bowl. Taking Chris Jones off the defense is going to trash that defense. And it's not saying that the other guys on defense are not good.
That gets us back to what, like 10 wins?
Right. I wouldn't get. I don't know. I'd say we could still win more than. It'd be around that, right?
There's people coming out today saying that we're going to be 10-7.
Warren Sapp.
Yeah, there you go. So
and
if
you know
you're
what?
10-7
Normally
with Chris Jones, what are you
Chris-
without him?
Normally he's all like about the Chiefs too, so I thought that was strange.
It's not okay. Look, we all take it personal. Chief fans take it personal when somebody says we're going to be 10-7, or because we all think that we're going to be 14, 15 wins. Like, it's crazy. If I think I come out and said that my initial prediction was 13 wins, and people bit my head off because I wasn't at 17-0, and it's like, okay, come on.
Yeah, Lewis
we
says
lost to the Colts
Jones
last year.
Jones is replaceable, just like Hill. I don't think so, because how did they replace Tyreek Hill? By getting a lot of good receivers. How many? Not a lot of good, but maybe a lot of middle of the road. A lot of
middle of the road
they can work with. You can't do that with a DT.
Middle
It don't
of the
matter
road
if you have
DTs,
27 of them. Only 2 of them can
right.
get on the field.
And middle of the road DTs do not
wreck games.
change games the way that a middle of the road wide receiver can bust a coverage here and there. What's the middle of the road DT get? Like an extra run stuff or something? Because he's not going to beat double, triple teams.
When people look at Chris Jones, you have to look beyond stats. You have to look beyond things like that because there's so much going on. Like, if you really pay attention, there's so much going on there that's not replaceable. Like, that's a guy that other teams have to game plan for. They have to game plan around him. He gets double teamed, he gets triple teamed. He puts pressure on the quarterback that makes him throw the ball quicker, which makes your DBs look better. It makes your other defensive tackles and your defensive ends look better when the whole offensive line is focused on Chris Jones. There's just so much more to it, dude. So much more to it than, well, he didn't have a sack in the Super Bowl. Okay.
Right. Well, look at Dez. People keep saying he's replaceable, but no one's listed a comparable replacement.
There's not
They can't.
one.
There's not one. Who are you going to say? Aaron Jones? Aaron Donald? I'll get it right in a second. You gonna say Aaron Donald?
Yeah, we're gonna go get a running back from Green Bay and take care of this situation.
He would probably do just as good as some of the other people we got. So point
Right.
is, like, are we gonna get rid of Chris Jones and trade for Aaron Donald? I hear that they got him on the trading block, possible.
He wouldn't
Like-
want $31 million a year, would he?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, come on, guys. Like, why? Why do we allow? I just don't get it. I get it. I'm all for the in Veach we trust and this and that and everything else.
Well-
I understand it, but Veach is human as well, and Veach does make mistakes. We've seen several of them in the draft. We've seen
I'll be
several
the first
of
to
them.
say I don't think Veach has had a great offseason.
Yeah,
I mean, I love Brett Veach. I think he's the best GM in football, but I don't think he's had a great offseason. I don't think it's went the way he wanted it to
Steve,
go.
that's fine.
Right?
It's fine to say that. You're not any less of a Chiefs fan for saying that. But for some of these people out here, if you don't worship the ground he walks on, put him to the stake. And I just don't get it. I don't understand. How do you get better as a franchise if you're not constantly looking for ways to get better? And again, how does getting rid of Chris Jones make you better? In the middle of Patrick Mahomes' prime, you're going to pull the greatest defender we got that would tank our entire defense. It does not make sense.
Right. And
it make sense.
Like Lewis was saying, defense is a team. It's not just one player. That's true, but when you have one player that elevates everybody's game around him that much because of different little factors like getting double team, triple team, putting pressure on the quarterback, that helps the DBs. Eating up space in the middle helps those linebackers out. That's why Nick Bolton was. I mean, all of it's like a chain reaction, and the first link in that chain is Chris Jones.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't know.
If you don't
For
have
me-
that solid rock right there, dude, then you create a lot of problems. You just do.
Yeah, it's tough for me to say anything, but Chris Jones is worth every penny that he wants. He's worth it, and the people that say he's not, I just don't understand it. To me, it doesn't make sense. But it is what it is. To each their own. I'm not going to say that you're wrong or that Veach won't pay it. Maybe Veach won't pay it. Maybe Veach will take the L on it.
He's been pretty stubborn a lot of times. So I mean, honestly, like if they did do something like that, I'd be pissed if they decided to trade off Chris Jones or not get something done with him. Because I outright think that was just pulling the rug out from under a defense you've been trying to build for 3 years. I think it's stupid. So yeah, I would not be happy about it, but I would not be surprised either. Like if Veach does something like that, it wouldn't surprise me.
Right.
Because he's pretty stubborn.
We got Elizabeth here representing from Argentina.
Nice.
She
Read
said,
that.
"Come on, Kadarius, we need you for this championship. Let's go. We do need him for this championship."
Mike, you Google translated that, didn't you?
Yeah.
You confused me for a second because I was getting ready to be like, read it, and then you did.
Look, I don't speak fluent Spanish, and I'm sure there's a different dialect. Everybody has different dialects. I will say I got Kadarius out of it, and I got Buenos Aires, Argentina, and championship, maybe.
Yep.
But it is what it is. We appreciate you being here, Elizabeth.
Yeah, that's awesome though.
Yep.
Argentina,
From
man.
Argentina.
Chiefs are represented around the globe. It's beautiful.
Elizabeth, can we come to Argentina and you show us around the city? I'd love to see it. We're going to make that happen. She's like, "Don't come over here. I will kick you out of the country."
Julia says Brady never had top name receivers. He did at one point, and they went almost undefeated the entire season, lost in the Super Bowl.
I'm curious. Everybody does say that about Brady. But
I mean, Randy Moss is hard to overlook. But here's the thing about it. Same reason why everybody's like, oh, well, the Chiefs have Travis Kelce. They had Gronkowski, right? So, I mean, they had kind of that equalizer
they got
as well.
Gronk. He had Gronk.
Mm-hmm. But
he had Wes Welker. Julian
Edelman was no pushover.
He had Troy Brown.
And that's
he
the
had
thing.
David Patton, Antonio Brown, Brandon LaFell, Jabbar Gaffney, Danny Amendola, and Mike Evans. Those are some of the bigger receivers he played with.
Let's look at this though. This is something a lot of people don't do when you start thinking that way. Look at the two different systems and the different kinds of quarterbacks that Patrick Mahomes and Brady are. Brady was that quarterback that already knows where he's throwing the ball when he snaps it. He's going to get rid of the ball in 1.5 seconds tops. He's going to throw it to a place on the field and have somebody go get it. Everything's schemed up. Like a lot of slants, A lot of quick little slants. You saw it all the time with Edelman and Welker. Like he's just throwing the ball to a spot. That's not how Patrick Mahomes plays football. Not even close.
This is kind of what I want to touch on for just 1 second with the whole Tom Brady thing. Because everybody does say that. But I think everybody forgets that it wasn't for a lack of New England not trying to get him something, by the way. Okay, look, they went out and they signed Randy Moss. They signed one of the best wide receivers that ever played the game.
That's the equivalent of if Brett Veach would have pulled in D-Hop this year. That's exactly the deal that they got done.
Probably bigger, though.
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously he's better.
Okay, you had that. They also went out and tried to get Chad Ochocinco.
Right.
They went out and put big money on him.
Yep.
They went out and they signed Antonio Brown. Did they sign Antonio Brown, or did Antonio Brown go to? Was that Tampa Bay?
That was Tampa.
I could have swore that he played.
Did he play? Did he play New England?
I was thinking he did, but the point is,
he did.
Okay,
maybe.
Back in
unless I'm having one of those. What do they call it? The Mandela effect. I feel like I see him in a Patriots uniform.
Look, was it back in 2019?
They drafted a lot. Too,
they drafted in Kilharry, first round pick.
Right.
We've yet to take a wide receiver in the first round for Patrick Mahomes. His entire career, he's been here. We've yet to go try to sign that offseason. Like, at least they tried. They just sucked at doing it. Like, they just continually suck and missed over and over besides Randy Moss.
They did make sure that he had a top 10 defense every year.
Right. They had a defense, but they were trying. So when people's like, Tom Brady never had that, but it wasn't for lack of trying, because they tried. They went out and, I mean, come on. He was signed by...
Lewis says that Veach has had worse off seasons than this year. And he might have, but like, I'd be interested to know which ones you think are worse. Like, I'm not saying this is the worst because I don't know. I haven't really thought about this question. But, like,
yeah,
obviously he had some bad drafts, the Breeland Speaks
bad drafts.
The McCole Hardman, the Clyde Edwards-Helaire picks weren't good.
You're going to have bad drafts, though. I don't hold that against him.
It's hard.
Too bad.
It's amazing how much he hits in the draft, to be quite honest.
Even look at the Mahomes year. They took Mahomes first, which wasn't Brett Veach. That was the last year of the other guy.
So AB was on the Pats and the Bucks.
Right.
That's what I thought it was. I
just don't know if AB played with Tom Brady.
I think he did. And I think that's why he ended up in Tampa Bay, because Brady wanted him.
And again, that's all I'm saying.
Didn't he live with Brady and everything?
New England tried to get Brady big receivers. They just didn't pan out. They didn't work well. Maybe that's another reason Brett Veach. He's trying to take the Patriot, path. Maybe he's like, well, look, they whiffed on all their veterans.
Learn from their mistakes.
Right, maybe so. But still,
wouldn't be a bad idea.
He's yet to drop a first-round wide receiver for Mahomes. He's yet to do that. But back to, I forget what we were talking about now. What are we talking about? Oh, Brett Veach. Brett Veach misses some, but at the same time, he hits a lot too, and you can't be too critical about that. I was saying, even in the Mahomes draft, who was the GM? I keep forgetting his name. The guy went to Cleveland that took Mahomes.
John Dorsey.
John Dorsey got Mahomes in the first round, obviously, with Matt Nagy pushing him, with Brett Veach pushing him.
Yeah.
But then you should see some of the picks later in that draft. He got like Jehu Chesson, and I mean, come on, that wasn't even a good draft either. If you took Mahomes out, it was a horrible draft.
Right.
I mean, Mahomes made it the best draft ever, probably. But
that's the thing about
there's just so many bads. But
the thing about it is Brett Veach is the best in the game, man. He's the best in the game.
I don't hold Brett Veach accountable for any kind of bad draft picks. Like maybe Clyde in the first round.
You can hold him accountable for it, but it's just going to happen. You're not going to be 100% perfect.
And then again, you still to this day hate the fact that he took McCole Hardman over DK.
We wouldn't be having any of the conversations that we've had to have in the last year and a half if they had just not took McCole Hardman.
If they would have
took DK Metcalf, I don't care. This is a team that needed that. We've been talking about it for a year and a freaking half or longer. Like, if you would have just not took McCole Hardman, who did minimal for the Chiefs, let's be honest. I mean, everybody overhypes what McCole Hardman did for the Chiefs. He wasn't bad, but he didn't do a whole lot. Let's be honest. We could have had a wide receiver one, like a solid wide receiver one. He would still be on this team, and we would have never had any of the conversations we've had in the last year and a half to 2 years.
Yeah,
That's why
you're
I
right.
hate it so much. That's why I hate it so much. It's just like with the Clyde thing. Yeah, they missed on Clyde. They shouldn't have took Clyde in the first round. But if they would have took Clyde, what would they have took? There's some players here and there. One of the drafts, Terry McLaurin was available. So it's
That
just
was the
like
same draft class, I believe.
he might have been with Clyde. I'm not
Deontay
for sure.
Johnson. They overlooked Deontay too. I mean, it's tough. You can't go back and click through that. I mean, come on. That's rough. You could do that for every team and be like, my God, in 1997,
But that one was
we
an
could have had
obvious
blah, blah,
one.
blah.
That one was an obvious one to me. You got this guy that looks like a transformer, and he's like he's just a solid rock, looking like a chiseled freaking statue, running a 4.3, which is what we always look at as speed.
Right.
Ran a 4.3 40, and I just don't. That was a crazy miss to me. Like, that was just crazy. That's why I hate it so much. But maybe it would have worked out. Maybe DK wouldn't have. Nah, it would have definitely worked out, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Veach discovered Mahomes as
Who
a
am I
scout
kidding?
before he became the GM.
Yeah.
Yeah, Veach. And then
Veach was 100% responsible for Mahomes.
we learned that Nagy helped, he snuck him the playbook, all that good stuff.
Yep.
Who was it that they thought were going to come up and get him? Was it the Saints? They thought Sean Payton was going to swing up the board and grab him.
Mahomes? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sean Payton.
Oh, shiny boy.
Yep.
HT Chief fan says, I'm not willing to say Veach has had a bad draft when the Chiefs have reached 3 Super Bowls and won 2.
You can still have a bad
Yeah.
draft and be successful. That's the thing. That's what we were saying, though.
I will say, though.
You can't be 100% all the
The
time.
Creed Humphrey draft, Nick Bolton draft was just great. That was a great draft class.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how this one pans out. I really am.
I think it's
'Cause
good. I think it's solid.
Rashee Rice has a good shot. Last year's was great too. Let's be honest. It's going to look even better this year when Sky Moore comes around, because now you're going to be like, oh, well, they got Sky Moore in the second round. Did they mess up a little bit by not saying Sky Moore could be our number one? I know they said Kadarius Toney in the offseason, but why didn't they just say Sky Moore was poised to be our number one, and everybody would have took a little heat off Toney? Because you would have that's why Toney's taking so much heat. We're fine when
I don't
Kadarius
know.
Toney's the role player and he misses some games, but when they say he's your wide receiver one and then he gets injured in 3 seconds.
I think when you hear the term wide receiver one, people have different perspectives on what that means. So it's like, yeah, they could have said he was Sky Moore be wide receiver one, but then everybody would have freaked out, because they automatically think wide receiver one goes to the X. And, things like that. And they're like, oh, that's not Sky Moore. But he could be the most productive receiver on the team this year. He very well could be.
Yeah.
So it depends on how you look at that. But, yeah, they could have done that and took a little bit of pressure off Toney. But, I think the pressure is good for Toney. Because a guy that misses as much as he does with little petty injuries, like, put the pressure on. Put the pressure on him. Be like, dude, you're the man. Stay on the field. Get this thing done.
Right. Samuel asks, what you guys think about Justin Ross? Does he make the roster? I think with Toney getting injured now, he does.
I think he did. I think he did anyway. I think he was going to make it.
Well, if it goes 7, I think you made it. If it stayed at 6, he was really borderline and cut. Right?
Yeah.
It almost has to. If you're just taking 6, he's right on that cut line. So he would have to get really good. But
right.
Yeah, I'm with Kevin. All the wide receivers need to step
Yeah.
up this year.
Noah, this is what I was saying. It depends on how you look at wide receiver one. Like, Scott Moore could very well be our most productive wide receiver this year, and it wouldn't be a bad thing. I mean, if he just say he falls into the Juju role, like I said, Juju was the most productive wide receiver we had last year, was he not?
Yeah, in terms of yardage, I believe.
Exactly. So I mean, it just depends on how you look at it. So that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
But no, I would never say that Sky Moore's like a WR1 going to play the X, going to go out there and, burn the world down. DeAndre Hopkins, Randy Moss style.
I'm kind of with Brian here, though. He says if we just take our medicine out of the box, we might recover by playoffs. Denial could destroy the season. That's kind of what it is. I think that's what gets frustrating a little bit, is that everybody's just so quick to be in denial about just the obvious facts. Like, okay, it's okay to say Kadarius Toney's injury prone, and it's still okay. You're still a Chiefs fan to say that you hope he does well and that we think he will do well. But you can say both sides. You just don't have to live in fantasy land over here. You don't have to ride your unicorn while you're typing it. I don't think it's bad either way. And then yes, Dave, Wide receiver 1, first reading and progression.
That's exactly right.
Here's what I think, though. I think a lot of people, when they hear wide receiver 1, though, they think it's a guy that takes over the game. You have to game plan for him. You have to double team him. He's got to be elite. He's got to be that D-Hop. He's got to be the Mike Evans. He's got to be Stephon Diggs, the Tyreek Hills, Jamar Chase of the world. I just don't see Sky Moore getting to that level.
No.
Like, do you? I just don't see Sky
I
Moore.
do think he could be a problem for people, though. He is a guy. He is a guy that they might have to look at in a game.
Okay,
plan.
look, elite. You know, people. Julia brought it up.
I don't
Tom
think
Brady didn't have no receivers. Well, okay, they might not be elite, but what was Wes Welker? He was great. What was Julian Edelman? He was an excellent wide receiver. So that's what I'm saying. That could be the Sky Moore. You might not be the wide receiver 1, but you're very capable.
Just rewind a couple years back to Tyreek Hill, Mike. I mean, Tyreek Hill's not that type of receiver that's going to go out there and Randy Moss people, and you don't typically think you need to double team a guy that looks like Tyreek Hill, but he's so
told
fast.
You in the chat that you were insane, that Tyreek Hill was one of the best high pointers of the football he's ever seen, and that he was excellent at deep threats.
You know what? That guy would have been right if he could have actually high pointed the football with his hands and like caught the ball. But he would jump.
He did
like head and he would jump head and shoulders above everybody, and then let the ball smack him in the chest and bounce to other teams.
Or his face mask. We've seen that against the Bengals a few times.
Yeah. So yeah, but no, that's what I'm saying. Like Tyreek, he's not like if
Who
you
are
just
we overlooking. By the way,
you have to double team people like that. Sky Moore could definitely be a guy that gets open enough to where you have to consider double teaming.
Who have we overlooked today? We've talked about every wide receiver under the sun.
MVS.
Yes. Is MVS just is he invisible? Does he got the Harry Potter invisibility cloak?
Well, I think
borrowed it.
It's because Marquez.
Get him right. Quez, baby.
Quezzy. I'm going to start calling him Quezzy. Well, Quezzy, he has like solidified himself in the mid category to a lot of people. Like people just overlook him because they don't care about him. Like they're like, oh, it's just Marquez Valdes-Scantling. It's MVS.
Marquez.
It's MVS. He's a deep threat. He's just like a home run hitter out in Green Bay. He's got to do a lot more, man. I think he can this year. I think he'd be a more complete wide receiver. I think he's got it in him.
Yeah. I'm down with it. A little bit more camp talk and we'll wrap this bad boy up. Defense looked good today, Steve. We seen Najee Johnson look really good yesterday, and he actually got to play some of the first team today. We seen him get a big interception on Mahomes. He was actually covering Travis Kelce. Looked like Travis Kelce literally just fell asleep, didn't even run a route. But Nick Jones picked it. Josh Williams picked one off today. Najee played some first team reps. He looked good. Drew Tranquil had a great day at camp. He almost had an interception. Trent McDuffie looked good. You name it, our defense came to play today. And they still had Daniel Wise in Daniel Wise started in place of Chris Jones. And again, I just don't know if I would ever be comfortable just saying, look, Daniel Wise is our replacement.
Right.
Scares me a little.
Right. Yeah, that's not happening. It's not happening. Let's just get that out of your head. Chris Jones will be there. Lewis says MVS won't do anything. That's why Green Bay got rid of him. Possibility, but then again, two different schemes. It depends on how you use them. I think Andy Reid's smarter about how he uses receivers than who was over there. Was it McCarthy still?
Yeah, maybe. King Mo, he says he don't play like he's 6'4", and
right.
He don't.
Well,
that's his knock, isn't it?
Is he 6'4"?
He's tall.
I know he's at least 6'3". But either way, that's been our one knock on MVS the whole time. Me and Mike said it over and over again. If this guy could play more aggressive and high point the football, he would be as good as he wants to be. But if you notice, if you go back and watch the tape from last year, he likes to wait for the ball to get to him. He's not very aggressive towards the ball. He don't play on the ball.
Yep. He's 6'4", 201.
That's a big boy.
He's a big guy. And, I mean, he's fast, too.
Very fast. I mean, he hit higher speeds than Tyreek Hill a couple of years in a row.
I went back and watched some games just the other day, and I wanted to see some of the route concepts, not necessarily who ran what and who did what, but if you generally look at what the Chiefs do, because they all do everything, but what you generally see is you seen Juju working 10 yards and under. Like he worked an underneath route, and Kelce was right there with him a lot of the times. A lot of times Kelsey likes to get just behind the linebackers. So, but you've seen a lot of MVS shooting down the field and taking safeties and corners, and MVS was drawing double teams a lot of the time because they just didn't want to get beat. So the fact that MVS was taking lots of double teams and our wide receivers underneath still wasn't getting open to the point that Mahomes would have to sometimes just launch it up, that was a little scary. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I know Sky Moore is good and he can get open, and Juju was here and there as the bailout kind of, and then Kelsey's kind of that first read always. But outside of them, there really wasn't nobody, and that's why they had to go trade for Kadarius Toney. That's why they made the move last year. And that's all I'm trying to say is, like, you just got to be a little – you got to hope our receivers kind of figure it out a little more this year, I think.
Right. Yogi with the 10 bomb. Appreciate you, Yogi. He says, I think between Sky, MVS, James, Rice, what we can get out of KT will be fine. James can fill up whenever KT is out. I predict to be 4 to 7 games. That's probably about right. Sky covers inside slot, MVS on the outside. Yeah, Yogi, you're probably exactly right with this. This is pretty spot on. And that's why I'm not really worried about it. I think that's how it's going to be. I think, like Mike was just saying, I think Sky Moore is going to be that guy that's just finding a soft spot in zones and stuff, and is going to be within that 10 yards a lot. Now, that being said, you can throw a defense off when you're playing a guy like that, and then all of a sudden he can burn the crap out of your safeties because Sky Moore can do that as well. So we're going to see a lot of fun stuff, man. And we appreciate the 10, Yogi. The support goes a long way. We put a lot of work into the channel. Actually been going since 9 a.m. already today. Just researching camp, getting camp stuff out on Twitter, recording the podcast, preparing the live. So yeah, a lot of work goes into it. So anything like that is always very much appreciated, Yogi. So thank you.
Yeah, I think, well, look, let's go ahead and bring Yogi's comment back up just for example so I can see it. I think here's the thing. I think a lot of Chiefs Kingdom that a lot of people say that there's no faith in the wide receivers and there's no whatever, we'll be fine. And I get the sentiment. I totally do. But when you look at the list, Sky, MVS, James, Rice, what we can get out of KT, what's the underlining factor? And you can go ahead and throw Justin Ross on there, John Ross, throw them all. It's literally just there's no experience. There's not been one guy that stepped up and proven they can get it done. And I think that's where everybody's just a little scared. Because what happens if none of them say, if nobody takes the reins? That's all we're saying.
Obviously, the guy I'm about to mention doesn't exactly fill the void that you're talking about. But do you think that worry right there might be where Justin Watson finds his way onto the roster?
Yes. I think that's kind of everybody's deal with Justin Watson was the Chiefs trusted him enough to sign him for the 2 years. I think the way it's scheduled, like set up, it was meant for him to be on the roster this year. Like, because they left us out in the second year, basically. So you'd have to eat way more this year to cut him. But, yeah, you're right. Justin Watson come in and done a lot of what MVS did last year when MVS come off the field. He was the field stretcher. His catch rate was really low, but it's because Mahomes was throwing bombs at him the whole way down the field. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's just like I get the sentiment that there's a lot of talent here. Like, nobody's saying that they're not talented. Nobody's saying that they can't be capable and they can't all be just great world beaters, but you got to have a little bit of.
Lewis is on one in the chat. Lewis he's so mad at MVS. He just hates him.
Lewis, daggone, bro. What is wrong with him?
It'll be all right.
He called him
Lewis.
an overpaid loser.
Man, I mean, no, that's a sentiment you're definitely allowed to have. I think is he overpaid? Yeah, I think so. Probably.
He is overpaid. That's the thing. Brett Veach don't overpay. You overpaid for MVS. We can't overpay $1 million a year for Chris Jones. We're fighting over $28 million to $30 million over Chris Jones, but yet we paid MVS $10 million a year. What?
Right. Yeah.
Or $11 million. I don't remember what it was off the top of my head, but
yeah. Now, Lewis, you're certainly entitled to that opinion. I mean, I'm not knocking you for thinking that MVS is not good because, I mean, yeah, that's still up for debate. To be honest, jury's still out on that. But
right.
I wouldn't worry so much. I wouldn't let it get me worked up.
Yeah, Again, I don't think it's panic. I don't think it's concern. I think it's frustration. Just Chiefs Kingdom's allowed to be a little frustrated. I don't think the off seasons went the way we thought it was going to. I think that Brett Veach kind of was on plan B from the get-go. It seemed like we've been playing behind the 8 ball this year. And then with the injuries and stuff kind of coming to fruition, that was what people were scared about, and it happened within a second. And I think people's allowed to be frustrated. I don't see nothing wrong with it.
David House says he disagrees. Rice, James, and MVS have proved themselves either in the NFL or college. They've proved themselves that they're good players, right? That they have a lot of potential. But that's kind of it. They haven't really been the guy on any, now college is different. But as far as NFL goes, none of these guys have proved themselves to be the guy. And that's what we're missing. So yeah. I mean, MVS, now if he could go out and play every game like he played the AFC Championship game last year, then I'd be completely comfortable right now. I'd be like, yeah, we have a guy that we can depend on. But we know that that's not consistent.
I think the uncertainty and everything, like, because even if people will say, hey, we're good, just trust. I think in the back of their mind, normal people will kind of even be like, hey, man, there's a little concern. They may not say it, but I think everybody has a little bit of concern. You have to be. You can't be that guy that just thinks everything's great. But yeah, David, I don't know what plan A or plan B was. I am projecting. That's our job, is to project things. Yeah, but I really don't feel like it's been a plan A. Do you think it was plan A? Maybe plan A could have been Jawan Taylor. That could have been plan A. But I kind of feel like OBJ was probably plan A, and they just couldn't get it done, and they took Taylor. So maybe he was plan B. We don't know.
Well, I still think
I don't think Donovan Smith was plan A.
I think they fell into a plan B in the draft regardless.
Right. I think the draft was a plan B.
I think Anton Harrison was their target, and they missed it. And then they had to
and guess what, Steve? We're just projecting that.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
We don't know it. We don't know 100% anything.
We don't have
no one does.
We're not reading the future, but that's what we do. But isn't that what everybody does? So why do we watch any sports writer or anything?
I just say, well, I
talk to Andy, I guess. He's
enough
the only one that
has
knows.
passed the eye test for me to think that that's what happened. Because I guarantee you that they had no intentions of Donovan Smith being on this team, or they would have signed him before the draft.
Point. Yes, thank you. And I think they were blowing smoke for Mozzie Smith. That wasn't who they were going to get, because Mozzie Smith has nothing.
They were after Anton Harrison.
He does not play the same, like, he plays the same position as Chris Jones, but he's not Chris Jones. He's more the Derek Nottie guy. So that wasn't their replacement for Chris Jones. So it's just not going to do it. I don't know. It is what it is, but I feel like it was a plan B. I could be totally wrong. Who knows? It is what it is. But that's pretty much going to wrap it up for the day, Steve. What do you think?
I'm good, man.
He's good. I don't know what that means.
I'm good. I'm just happy football's back in. It's fun having these conversations. It's fun. You can get a little passionate about stuff. It's awesome when you see people get passionate. I was poking fun and laughing at Lewis, but hey, man, I love the passion. I like seeing Chiefs fans that actually care about what's going on or have opinions about what's going on instead of being passive and just thinking everything's unicorns and rainbows, Like, get into it a little bit. Have some fun with it. Get an opinion.
It's camp. This is the time we debate players. You debate issues. You talk. You panic even a little bit. Who knows? It's not fun to just sit back and be like, forget it. We'll play a game. It's a long season. That's not fun.
Nah, but we appreciate you guys. We appreciate you guys that donated. Marshall and Yogi, you guys are amazing. All the donations go a long way. Like I was saying earlier, we appreciate that. Also, guys, hitting the like button. Watch our video coming out later tonight. We're going to have a full podcast, diving way deeper into the Kadarius Toney stuff and a lot of camp stuff. So make sure that you guys get to that.
Yes, sir.
It's huge if you guys just click on that video and watch the whole thing. That's huge support right there. So make sure that you do that later tonight. And we'll see you guys back. Maybe we have a live stream tomorrow night, actually.
Yeah,
War Room Wednesday. So we'll be back tomorrow night. Not sure on the time yet. Keep your eyeballs peeled. It might not be the usual 8 p.m.
Yeah, it might go a little earlier.
So we will figure that out. We'll let you know probably in a community post or something of that nature. And we'll see you then.
Heaven was a sight from my soul.